invite.
Hello, everybody on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to the weekly Pet Roundup. We are live on both ends here. Yay! Forgive me, I did not do my hair. It's been a weekend. I am not okay. I am not okay. I did not do my hair. I just put it back.
You are okay. You're okay.
No, I'm not okay mentally. I mean, I
I
know I
know.
look fine, but
I
I
know.
am still if you guys saw my post earlier or last night about my camping trip on Instagram and Facebook, then you'll know that I had a very stressful weekend and I'm still feeling all the feels from it, which is totally okay. And I'm allowing myself to do that. Thank you, Diane. But yeah, it's been a rough couple days, and so I'm just kind of letting myself off the hook a little bit. And I was like, I don't need to do my hair. I can just go put my hair back and just
you look
be.
great.
Just be. Thank you.
You look great.
I have two different headphones in. So if you cannot hear me well, please let me know, because last week I know it wasn't super clear on Instagram. So if you can hear us and we sound okay, please give us a thumbs up or just comment.
Yes, please.
And let us know.
Yeah. So it has been a rough few days, Diane.
I know.
Diane,
how are you feeling? I know we talked about your profound loss recently.
Yes, I know. And it's
Hi, Calming
all
Creek
about
Healing.
all about the Kara's had a bad day too. Yes, I know. It's been a rough couple of days. So September is Happy Cat Month, and I always like to do something for cats in the month of September. I try to talk about cats as often as I talk about dogs, but it just doesn't always seem to work out that way. And cats are so underrepresented in the pets. I mean, it's getting better. I think it is getting better, but they are underrepresented. And I think one of those reasons is just because cats are more difficult to understand and work with, and certainly we don't have the same amount of medical knowledge as far as like studies and things, because they're just not easy to work with in a laboratory setting like dogs are. But also they are much more wild than their dog counterparts. Like there was definitely a very large span of time where humans intentionally domesticated dogs from wolves, and I don't think that we have never, like, I guess there's argument that could be made that we're currently domesticating cats, but it's not as intentional as it was with dogs. So it just, I don't know, all of it goes kind of hand in hand with the fact that they are, I feel, underrepresented in the pet space in general. So I always like to do something for them because they're amazing. They are one of the things that I have, and I don't remember exactly. I think this was kind of something that I learned over multiple interviews that I did with like multiple different people and veterinarians and different like animal communicators and things. I believe that cats are our spiritual protectors, and dogs are here to show us what unconditional love is. So they just kind of play different roles in our lives as well. And I think that for that reason, and the belief that I have that cats are our spiritual protectors, if you're not a spiritual person, if you haven't hit that stage of your life where you have, and I'm not saying religion, I'm saying spirituality, then that's something that I think can be lost on a lot of people. And so that's another reason why I think people just don't have the same connection oftentimes with cats that they do to their dogs. But hello, Jay. How are you doing?
Hi, Jay. Speaking of happy cats, the Two Crazy Cat Ladies are a great resource for how to make your cat happy, both tips and products. If you don't know, they're more than just the Two Crazy Cat Ladies, the people who give us awesome tips and videos on social media. They have a line of cat products, And they offer things from immune boost to urinary health products, all holistic, natural-based products. So if you don't follow the Two Crazy Cat Ladies, which I doubt, but also
Yeah.
follow Feline Essentials, which is their
Yes.
line.
They have some of the best products. They are all natural, which is amazing. And one thing really interesting that happened this year was at the event in Williamsburg, the day after the event there, the Know Better, Do Better Summit, there was a coffee talk. And I was standing with Dr. Katie Kangas, and all of the people in the crowd were like kind of asking different questions. And what was really interesting to me was that, I mean, the cat questions were just coming out of everywhere. Like, people were not asking dog questions. It was very interesting to me. Everybody was asking cat questions. And I feel like, and I think I even said this, like Jay and Adrian were not amping up their products enough, in my opinion, when they were answering these questions. And I just was like, finally, I was like, I have to interject here. I'm like, you have got to try these products. And Dr. Katie Kangas looked at me and was like, really? Their products are that amazing? And so like giving this education on their products to Dr. Katie, and she's like, I'm probably bringing them into her clinic and all, because she just doesn't have a huge cat clientele. But I'm like, they're so bad at promoting their products. I don't know how.
I know. Well, they're like influencing so many brands, and then
and I say that in a loving way. They're amazing.
Yeah, no, you kind of forget that they're the people behind those products. So like, obviously they're fans of a lot of products, and like they're not going to, start doing litter when they already have a litter that they like, and they're not going to start doing other products when they already like and use different foods and things. So they kind of talk about so many products that they forget to remind us that these are their products, their babies, and they put their names and their reputations behind them. I use what is it called? Not Catalyst,
Everything.
The other one.
The OxyCat.
OxyCat.
I love them, both of them.
I used OxyCat, which is their product. When Van Gogh, my cat, first came home, I got him from a really great rescue in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is about 30 minutes from my house here in El Paso. And he came super healthy, looked great. And then all of a sudden he was like scratching his eye like crazy. I thought maybe one of my kids had been too vigorous with the wand toy, which I'm sure we'll talk about wand toys in a conversation about keeping cats happy. But it turned out my cat had not gotten injured. He actually had ringworm on his eye. So like his left eye was just all gunky, and he kept like itching it. And so the eye inside was all red. And it took about 2 weeks to get into the vet, because I took him to an emergency vet. That was a fiasco, which we'll talk about another time, I'm sure. I've mentioned it in the past. It was just awful. And I did not get a diagnosis. On the contrary, I was told like, no, it's not ringworm, because I had little kids and myself, and my husband travels all the time. And I was like, I don't want the whole like house to get ringworm. So can you just tell me if that's what this is? And they told me it was not. But then I was simultaneously speaking to all my cat expert friends, including Jay and Adrian. And they were like, if it's just give him this is really good. It's going to help with boosting the immune system. Whatever it is that he has, it's going to help heal it. So I started using OxyCat, and then they told me like, it's super safe. You can even, it's safe enough. You could use it for yourself, but it's like human friendly, pet friendly. You can use it on your kids. And I was like, if they're giving me the okay to use it on myself, they use it themselves. All these ingredients can be used for humans, then I'm like, for sure. I ordered it immediately, started giving it to him, and that ringworm stood no chance against this. And so it's a really great line of products. I also love that they sell little catnip pillows with their faces on them, because every time I see their faces like run around my house, it makes me smile. They have really cool cat toys that you won't find anywhere else, all natural stuff that you don't have to worry about any chemicals your cat's are gonna ingest while playing with them, because that's a really big, I think, oversight in many of our, consumer behaviors, is that we don't think before we buy something about what's in this material, what's in this shirt that is going to be on my skin, what is in this toy that is going to be in my cat's mouth. Jay is saying I'm using Oxycat in my eye right now for some strange eye infection. And yeah, so it's not just ingestible, but it was something I could put in his eyes as drops, I believe. Didn't I do that? So I think it's awesome that they have such high quality products that if you buy from there, we're both affiliates, but don't even worry about the affiliate links. We're affiliates because we love them and we love their products. But you can go to the Two Crazy Cat Ladies, and from their link in bio, you can get to all their products, and not just for health stuff, but just for play stuff, because keeping your cat happy, right? Happy is the word that we're using, and that's what the month is called. It's called Happy Cat Month. But it's not just about entertaining them and feeding them yummy treats. It's also about keeping them healthy and choosing things that are going to have the least side effects for them. Because yes, I could have gone to the vet and gotten some kind of antibiotic or antifungal, and it could have been really strong and painful. I always opt for the natural product first. If that doesn't work, then I'll amp up the strength, I guess. But sometimes I feel like pharmaceuticals are just too much, especially for our pets who can't tell us if it hurts, if it's irritating, things like that. So I try to go with the path of least potency first. And not to say that natural products are not potent. They tend to just work more gently with the body than pharmaceuticals, in my experience.
Yeah, I know. I love their products so much, and I use them for my dog and for myself, like you were saying. And I had, not this past December, the December before, I had adenovirus, and I got pink eye twice, and I used Oxycat and knocked it out both times.
Yes.
I also heard, and I did not do this because I was like, I don't know anybody that's breastfeeding, but breast milk will knock out pink eye as well. But anyway,
yes, I used
that's a
it
whole
for
other thing.
No, yeah, and a lot of babies are born with like a clogged tear duct, and it kind of gets gunky and stuff. So they recommend getting a little bit of breast milk, expressing it, or using what you pumped, and kind of keeping the eye clean, because it has, it has its own probiotic blend that is specifically from your body and from your baby's probiotic blend that you gave them during birth, hopefully. So yeah, it's nice to have these options that are, it's one. Oxycat covers so many things. Like when you go to the actual product description, it has about 20. Going to find breast milk now. No comment. But Oxycat has like a list of like 20 things that you can use it for, right? Like,
yeah. I know. I just
so
recommended it to somebody the other day for they weren't sure if their cat had ear mites or not. So I'm like, Oxycat.
It can't hurt. Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, you don't want to hurt something. Like some pharmaceuticals, it's like, we'll throw spaghetti on the wall and then try this treatment, but then you're creating another problem somewhere else. So that is something that I try to avoid. Healthy cats obviously are happy cats. And the one thing we talk about a lot, and I know the Two Crazy Cat Ladies talk about it a lot. I know Cat Behavior Alliance talks about it a lot. Think Like a Cat, Pam talks about it a lot. It's cats hide their pain, their illnesses. So part of having a happy cat is really engaging with the cat so that you notice when there are changes. And a lot of people get a cat thinking the cat doesn't need anything. Like they just need like a bowl of dry food. And I mean, if that's the kind of pet parent you are, you probably aren't listening to our lives, because that's not the kind of pet parents we are. So we probably don't mesh and we don't align in that sense. For us, it's really about when we take on the responsibility of pet parenting, it's doing it as best we can, expanding our knowledge of the species, meeting their needs, like truly meeting their natural needs, not what we've assumed as humans, because we kind of apply a lot of our needs and our behaviors to other species when it's not accurate. So we are the kind of pet parents that want to know, like, what is this species about? What do they need? And how can I prevent any issues? And the best way to prevent issues is to interact with your cat. Because if your cat, has a routine with you, we talked about routines last week. Like if your cat has a routine with you every night that he sits on, like me, if I'm sitting down to watch TV, my cat comes up and he sits on me and we like snuggle every night. And it doesn't matter who else is there. That's our time. He also wants to go straight outside to the patio every morning. Like every morning we wake up, and if we're not down there to open that door for him, he's going to meow until we get there. So what if one day I wake up and he's not meowing to go outside, or he's not jumping on my lap? Then something is different and I need to take note of that. Or if a cat's really, my cat's very vocal, very vocal. So this would be harder for me. But if your cat's not vocal and all of a sudden starts vocalizing, now you know something's changed and something's going on. And a lot of the cats that I used to pet sit for who had any kind of urinary blockages, the first thing that people said was that he started vocalizing more. He was meowing more, kind of calling my attention, but I couldn't figure out what he needed. He wasn't hungry. His litter box was clean. Well, I mean, it couldn't really not be. And so it was the vocalization change that kind of alerted them to something, obviously lethargy, but that's by the time you see lethargy, like something bad is happening, right? So noticing those things, keeping your cat happy to begin with, but also doing it for that secondary reason of understanding what their baseline is and whenever there's a change. And it should be fun. Like it should be like the cuddle time or like the patio time, or I sit on my patio now that it's getting nicer and I have my coffee and I like observe him and I observe how he moves in the patio, like what his kind of like dynamic with the birds is, and like where he jumps up or where he like kind of lays down and takes a break. And like if anything were to change drastically, like he came outside and he didn't like really do anything, then I would know like that's weird. And then the next day, if that continued, I would start to see a pattern. And we do a lot of playtime. He loves my kids. He comes to the door every time we come home to greet us. So if he stopped coming to the door, right, like if he stopped coming to the door when my kids go for school, like all of our pets just go to the front door. Like getting 2 kids to school is like a 6-person task. Apparently it takes 2 humans, a cat, and now 2 dogs to get them out the dang door. And it's because my dogs are ready to go for a walk, and my cat sometimes likes to join us. So he like comes to the front door and he like loves to get pet by the kids before they leave. And we kind of interact with him at all times of our day. And he's a happy cat. But because we interact with him so much, the second he was unhealthy, I think we would notice. Like if you're always gone and you have like an automatic feeder and an automatic litter box, and you have like such a busy work social life that you're never really home, and maybe you only are home to sleep with your cat, right? No hate, no judgment, but like you're coming home after a long day of work, you're going straight to bed, your cat sleeps in your bed, wonderful, your cat loves that time. You get up and you leave again. That whole 12 hours you're gone, something may be happening that you don't know about. So maybe that means that you should be getting like a pet sitter to come in. And, you know, people only hire pet sitters when they're traveling, but you don't have to do that. Pet sitters will come in and play with your cat while you're at work. If you have 12-hour days, hire somebody to come in for 15 minutes and play wand toy and scoop your litter box and do a little helpful thing for you, right? Like they can feed your cat and take one task off your plate. So interacting with them to me is like number one, because it covers the happiness, the engagement, enrichment, the health, the food, everything. Is when you're interacting with them, you can really react to their needs.
Yeah. And paying attention, like you were talking about, to their behavior patterns is so important. I mean, and all of my cats have always been so different in the things they like, the things they don't like. I have one cat that doesn't want to eat unless I'm petting. Like I have to pet him. And when I put his food down, he'll start to eat and then I can stop petting him. It's like just learning these little things about I know, right? Like I could not imagine like having a cat like that, not knowing that is his preference, putting food down and walking away, and then he just doesn't eat, right? Like that.
Yeah, you would be running that cat through like all sorts of like health tests and talking to the vet and getting like an animal communicator to like give you guidance, even though all he wanted was just to like get love while he ate.
I know. But if I don't get anything across to anybody ever about cats, there's only one thing I could ever say, and this is also true of dogs, but I think even more so with cats, is that we need to treat them like the species they are. And that is ultimately what is going to make them the happiest and the healthiest. And this is also very true of dogs, but I think it is even more so true of cats. And understanding that whatever kind of pet you have, they are literally doing the absolute best they can to try to live in your world, in your home, and following the um, like they don't know how humans are, how we don't want, why would we not want a dog on the couch, right? Or why could they not be in the kitchen when you're preparing dinner? Like, these are things that we as humans impose on our animals that they have to learn, and we need to be gentle and patient with them about teaching them these things if that is how you prefer to run your household. But they're living in a world that they're not designed to live in. And so the more we understand that, the better we can do to try to help them assimilate into the world that we have set up for ourselves in our home. So if I can get like nothing else across to anybody, that's the like key thing that I want to get across to people.
Yeah, so I won't name any names, but somebody in my family recently was overheard asking a dog not to throw up on the carpet.
Well,
They were saying, it's getting really old that you keep every time you throw up, which they should be throwing up all the time, number one.
yeah.
But number two, every time you throw up, you do it on the carpet. It's getting really old to have to clean it up. It's so much easier if you throw up on the floor. Like your pet. I'm not gonna give any tips away, hints away. But this animal does not know what a rug is other than it's soft.
Yeah.
And that when they throw up, they feel steady on it. That's all they know about that thing. They don't know where you got it, what it costs, what it's made of. They don't know what purpose it serves. To them, it's nice under their feet when they're about to throw up. That's it. And so having some grace for them not valuing the same things we value is really a starting point for our relationships with them. Like, my cat obviously values his time in nature. The safest place to do that is in the patio. He'll hunt insects in there. The poor insects that find their way in there, unless they go high, they don't come out alive. He, watches the birds. He like looks out, sniffs the air. Like, you can tell he's connecting with nature there. That's important to him. If he was another cat, maybe an older cat, he'd be like, the patio's hot. I don't want to go out there. I feel nice here. He's not the kind of cat that like, wants to be pet or carried all day. Like, he doesn't enjoy being carried. Like, he will let me carry him if I'm carrying him off of something, but you can tell he wants to get out immediately. So like forcing a cat to like be held against their will, even though there are so many funny memes and reels about it, right? Like, we think of that like Elvira from is it from Looney Tunes, where that she's like, I love you, that's basically like all of us until we learn to do better. Even my kids don't do that, which, it's taken a long time to teach them that these animals are their own entity, their own species, and they are, like, they have their likes and desires and wishes. Just like when my son comes home overstimulated from school, he wants quiet. Sometimes my cat does too. Sometimes my dog does too. When I tell them like, we got to go walk Kira, and they're like, I don't want to walk her. I'm like, we're the only connection she has to nature outside of our yard. Like, it's not fair for her to not get her walks. So recognizing that, we're their only connection to meeting their needs is such a huge responsibility. And if you're not up for it, don't do it, right? Like, don't take on a pet unless you are going to recognize their species, their needs, their individuality too. Because like, you have cats that like different things. I have a cat that likes different things. I hand raised kittens, 5 of them actually. There was a litter of 4, and then another one came. And let me tell you something, every single one of those kittens was so different from the 4 days of their 4th day of life. They were differently motivated, different personalities, different things. We connected with some more than others. Like, we adopted out the 2 that were most independent, and then the ones that were like bonded, we kept together. And then we ended up adopting them out together too, because those 2 formed a bond that the other 2 were like fly by the seat of their pants, happy no matter where. So every pet is different. And one of the things that we do as consumers is that we buy like everything that looks cute to us and everything that promises to engage or make our pets happy, right? And the reality is, once you get to know your pet, especially cats, like you'll get to know what they really like. And so you don't need to go like buying nonsense that they're never going to use and you're just spending your money on it when you recognize this is what they like. Like my cat loves birds. He loves to hunt birds. That's just what he likes. So when I buy a toy, it usually chirps. It's usually a wand. He likes to scratch posts, not wall scratchers. Won't use them. He needs it to be a circular post. He likes to go all like, you know, pole
He
dancer
wants
on
to
it.
like
Yeah, he
really
loves the
stretch
whole,
out his
yes, he
muscles
loves the
and
whole
yeah,
pole
yeah, yeah.
dancing thing. He's adorable. He's happy. He's purring. He's pole dancing. I love it. But anytime I think a toy is cute, and I think I've talked about the famous mushroom I bought, there was like a cute little mushroom shaped scratcher that I gave away because he was like, "What is that?
Yeah.
Where is my toy that I've
Yeah.
shown you so many times that I love?" And then out I went to get the same one.
I know it is so crazy because like so I have 3 right now. Riley, like he prefers the texture of a really plush carpet. That's what he likes to. So I have a rug that is
Yikes.
just his rug. It's his rug, and that's what he likes to claw and scratch on. Sissy prefers cardboard, so she has her cardboard scratchers. And Machida prefers the yoga mats. He likes to scratch on yoga mats. So I am constantly changing these things out, but just knowing the difference in what and Riley likes sometimes he'll go for the cardboard scratchers, which is what's really interesting is that I have not seen him use a cardboard scratcher since Romeo passed away. But that's another thing, like when the dynamic of the home changes, you really need to pay attention to the pets that are left behind because their behaviors can definitely change as well. And the structure of how your animals interact with each other, I have seen it every single time. I've lost 8 animals in my life now, and every single time the dynamic completely changes between the animals that are left behind. And so I do my best, even though I'm grieving and I don't want to do anything. I do my best to pay as much attention to them as possible to see how things are changing, where I might need to adjust my support with them. And it's a very interesting thing and also very individual, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
And one of the things, if we just stick with happy first and talk about treating them like the species they are, one of the biggest things with cats for me is running them through a prey sequence at least once a day is going to help them be a cat and get out that energy that they have as hunters.
Yes.
So playing with them, using toys that they like, interacting in that play. It's not just tossing a toy down and expecting them to play. It's an actual like interaction that you have with them. So for a lot of cats, this can be a wand toy. I really don't like using laser pointers, but if your cat for some reason absolutely loves a laser pointer and you are using it, make sure you always end with something that they can physically catch, because it's very frustrating for them otherwise. So spending a good 10-15 minutes playing and doing this individually if you have multiple cats. So even taking a cat into a room with just you and them and going through this play sequence or hunting sequence with them, playing with them, let them kind of get a little worn out. Let them catch the toy, but not every time, because the reality of a cat hunting in the wild is like every 3 to 5 like pounces, they may actually like latch onto something. And if that something gets away, it gets away. But so letting them get through this play sequence really kind of and it doesn't take long, 10 to 15 minutes to like kind of wear them out a little bit and then feed them. Feed them whatever they're going to eat, preferably a raw food diet. Cats are obligate carnivores. I would prefer them to be on a very high protein diet, lots of muscle meat with fat and bone. If we can get some fur in there or feathers, that would be wonderful too. And then naturally they're going to eat, they're going to clean themselves, and they're going to sleep.
Yeah.
And so this is a cycle that if you do it once a day, that's wonderful. If you do it twice a day, and make sure at least one of those times is like right before you go to bed, you have a
Yes.
much greater chance of actually being able to sleep through the night by doing that as well.
Yes, especially if you have a vocal cat like I do. Yeah, it's really important to recognize that cats are all about resources too. So when you do change number of cats, whether it's or pets, whether it's more cats, you lost a cat, like the dynamic's going to change, but also the resources are going to change. So I remember my dog Titan loved toys. When he was a single dog by himself, a puppy, he loved toys. We would throw them, he would bring them back, he loved them. The second we got socks, he stopped playing with toys. Because somewhere in their relationship, she owned the toys, she made that clear, and he fell in line, right? So like once socks left, all of a sudden I thought he was going to be super depressed, but he was like, freedom, because he was like going back to like his puppyhood and like being more playful, and kind of he was allowed. I feel sometimes bad about that relationship because I thought it was all about love, and now I'm like, maybe it was a little abusive, a little bit, maybe there was a little bit of a hierarchy there that wasn't super healthy. They got along great and they used to snuggle and stuff, but Titan made a lot of allowances, I think, for her. So when she was gone, now he had a newfound freedom. And I think that happens a lot with cats when you lose them. Like, those cats that are left will reestablish like who owns what and what territory is whose and where this one eats versus that one. And if you see your cat, you've changed homes, you've changed routines, jobs, like maybe you work the morning shift, now you're on a night shift, you have a new pet, you have a new baby. If something really big changes, you have to kind of think about resources. Does everybody have a place to eat separate from the other person or from the other pet? Does everybody feel safe while eating? And I don't feed my cat a raw food diet. I wish I could, but I don't. And so I will say this, if you are trying to keep them happy outside of that, drop the kibble. They don't need kibble. Cats never need kibble under any circumstances. Keep to the wet food.
Well, you do freeze-dried, don't you?
I do freeze-dried, but I mean, that's kind of like a food topper. So like their main food is where I feed right now Weruva, and I alternate the proteins, and he only gets canned food. Like at the beginning, he was transitioning from the shelter to the rescue, and they gave me some food. So I kind of kept it until I ran out. And then I kind of transitioned him slowly. So he didn't go from loving the dry food, which he likes. Actually, he really enjoys that. He likes the flavor. He tries to steal my dog food. They do eat some kibble. He tries to eat it, so he just likes the texture, whatever, but it's not good for him. So he doesn't get it every day. He doesn't get it at all. Like we don't get any cat kibble in this house. But knowing that we just got a new dog, so like his eating surface was not affected at all by our new dog. His eating surface has always been elevated away from the dogs. He will try to eat the dog's food. So now I put him in the patio, close the door, and feed the dogs where he can't steal their food. So I kind of manage the dynamic change as it's happening so that I can see where the opportunities lie for improvement or where we have a potential problem, because that's when people start seeing cats misbehaving. And a cat that's misbehaving is probably a cat that has something going on, whether it be physical, emotional, or just like, confusion from a move, some kind of stress, some kind of ailment, some kind of pain that you're not like aware of. So people start returning their cats because they're urinating outside the box. Well, maybe you got a new cat and now your cat doesn't want to use any of those other boxes. They want a box for themselves, and you didn't know. You didn't add an extra resource for them, or you're, feeding them right next to their water bowl and the dog's slobbering all over that water bowl. And they're like, I don't want the dog slobber in my food. So the simple act of changing the food bowl location would solve every problem, but you're not familiar with, these dynamic changes. So understanding that cats are super sensitive to change, whether it be losing a pet, losing a family member, bringing in a pet, bringing in a kid, bringing in a baby, having friends in from out of town around the holidays, like all of those things really affect them. And recognizing that, you know, it's their house too. And if your friends maybe are stressing them out, maybe they're coming with like a bunch of kids and the kids are stressing them out, maybe it's, you know, next time don't let them stay at your house to stress out your pet. You know, like setting boundaries around your pet and setting boundaries about, you know, your time engaging with them. Like I walk my dogs every morning. Sometimes my cat comes with me. Usually I let him tell me when he's ready. Now that the weather's nicer, I will encourage him to come. But like over the summer, it was too hot for him to be in the backpack. I live in the desert, so there's not a lot of shade. And now he'll start like coming more. But that morning walk is non-negotiable. It's just not. And so, and that evening playtime or that evening snuggle time with my cat, not negotiable. Because I set boundaries around what I will and will not do if it affects my time with my pets to meet their needs. And that's really how we keep them happy. Is not just, you know, like buy them the newest toy at Target because you were like running errands and you saw something cute and you just toss it at them.
Yeah.
How many of us have spent so much money on stuff that just isn't going to get us that return on investment at all?
I know. And since you brought up litter boxes, that's another thing that I am super passionate about talking with cat parents about, because it's not something that you just toss a litter box down and it's fine, it's good. No. The location of the litter box matters, the number of litter boxes matter, the litter that you're using matters, the size and shape of that litter box matters. So to just kind of briefly discuss that, you should have at least one more litter box than you have cats. So say I have 3 cats, I should have at least 4 litter boxes. I currently have 7. I just haven't gotten rid of any after having, you know, lost animals. And, you know, spreading them around the house is also a good thing. You should always have at least one per pet on every floor of your house, if that's, you know, possible for you. It should be possible. I mean, if your pet has access to it, they need to be able to get to the litter box when they need to get to the litter box. They should have multiple escape routes from any litter box. I also don't want them in a laundry room or a bathroom or a closet. We do that. We try to put litter boxes in areas that are not high traffic, we're not smelling them. Your litter box shouldn't smell, first of all, and we can talk about that in a minute. But if you can smell it, your cat has much better sense of smell than you do, and they don't like the way it smells either. So if we are trapping that into a closet or a laundry room, it can be a deterrent.
The litter box itself, like that's why many cats prefer an uncovered litter box, because if you think about it, if they went potty in the morning when you went to work and they need to go again around 3 o'clock, the potty from this morning is still there, and now it's being like kept in this cave of in the wild, they would never go back to the same spot. They'd find another spot and cover it up because they're very clean. So they're coming back to the same spot because they're kind of accepting our expectations, right? They're willing to compromise and use the same spot, but we've made it so unpleasant because it's still covered in there. So yes, and then you get the covered litter box and you put it in the closet, and now it's the litter box that stinks and then the room that stinks. So now I'm smelling it everywhere while I'm going potty. It's horrible if you think about it. Like it's like going to, like, your only option for a bathroom is like a dirty gas station bathroom every day.
Right.
That's your option.
It's terrible. And one thing I have noticed with my cats, and it has gotten more apparent to me the older they're getting, because I have one that's 16, 2 that are 15. The older that they're getting, their litter box habits are changing as well. And none of my cats ever want to use the same litter box to pee and poop in.
Yes.
And that isn't necessarily going to be the same for every cat, though I do think it would be their preference if they had that option.
Yes, it's pretty common, yeah.
And so having them clean, I am one of those people that I walk past my litter box and it's dirty, I clean it. It's not like, oh, I clean the litter box at 10 and 3. No, I clean the litter box when it's dirty. And anytime that I notice
Same.
that it's dirty, obviously, if I'm not here or if I'm busy, I'm recording a podcast, whatever, then it's going to sit there for an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is. But like outside or overnight, but outside of that, throughout the day, I am cleaning. And it's one of the first things I do in the morning and one of the last things I do before I go to bed, because I understand not only I want my cat to have access to a clean litter box, but like I wouldn't want to have to use a dirty toilet. Why would we expect them to?
No, and the laundry room, a lot of people don't recognize that the laundry room, even if it's big, even if it's really big, it's not about the size of your laundry room, it's about the
No.
noise in your laundry room.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
like it reminds me of my son, who is special, like not I say he's special needs, he's really high needs. And he's very sensitive, and he's got like, you know, things that are really loud affect him in ways that I don't even recognize. I'm a grown up too, and he was like 3 or 4 when I'm remembering this situation. But we would go to public bathrooms, and he was terrified of the self-flushing toilets because
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't tell when it was going to happen, right? So he couldn't prepare himself for the flush, and he wanted to be done and away from the toilet when it flushed, but he couldn't control it. And I feel like that's exactly what happens to our cats when we put their litter box in a laundry room where things make noise at random times. They can't really control when that like zipper is going to hit the edge of the dryer, right? And they can't really control when the spin cycle is going to start. So it's kind of like an unknown. No, it's there. They know it's noisy, but they don't really understand like when they can avoid the noise or when it's going to get, and they could be in the process of having the best bowel movement of their life, and all of a sudden the spin cycle
They're
picks up,
scared.
and they're like, what in the world is that? And again, like you said, with the smell, they hear a lot better than us too. So
Yeah.
if ever you've been like in your house and the dryer's going and you're like, oh my God, that's so loud, just think about how loud that is for our pets.
Well, yeah. And so they're in the litter box and some noise happens and then they're scared and they associate that noise with the litter box, and then they're eliminating outside of the litter box, and you're wondering why.
Yeah, I don't want to go in the laundry room where things like blow up every time I go to the bathroom. Like, and if that's the only litter box they have, then I'm gonna go right outside the laundry room.
Yes.
And then it's like, why is he going right outside the laundry room? Well, because he's trying really hard to meet your expectations, but he's really scared in there. So he's gonna go as close as he's safe.
Yeah.
Right? Like as he feels safe to do so. So people are like, but it's
Yeah.
right outside the laundry room or right outside the bathroom. And again, like bathrooms are busy. They have a lot of smells. They have a lot of noises. They have a lot of people coming in and out. They, water. They don't really, a lot of cats are not really big fans of just like water sources everywhere.
Yeah.
Some of them love it. So it just is not a pleasant place. You want peace when you go potty.
Right. And the reality is, so we talked about the fact that cats are apex predators or hunters, but they're also small enough that they're prey.
Right.
So they are
Always.
very vulnerable when they're using the litter box. They are very
we
vulnerable.
all are. I mean, we all are. Like that's really what, like when you see that that's when we're most vulnerable.
When they're vulnerable when they're eating. So they're not going to eat in the middle of the floor with 30 people all around at a Christmas party, right? Like that's not going to happen, because they have to not only have all of this need to get out all of these hunting instincts that we need to address and help them get out, but they're also constantly on the lookout because they're also prey animals.
Yeah, so they're literally going potty like this.
Those needs as well. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And that's another reason you said about the multiple exits, right? Like you don't want to corner them. The idea of just like putting your litter box away somewhere that it's out of sight, out of mind for you is great. But is it really a great way for the cat? Like you're in a closet in a corner with a covered litter box with only one way out, and then the closet's open like this much, so that's another only way out, so that if the dog comes in the closet while I'm in here, I don't have anywhere to go. So it's not really safe. And that's really the biggest thing, is that's why resources are so important, because they're like, I need my resources, and my resources are my litter box that is safe to use, my food that is not going to be taken from me, or I'm not going to be attacked while I'm eating it, my
Yeah.
water that smells good and feels safe for me to eat, because they're very much aware of like the fact that they could get sick more so than us, that we'll go like eat, you know, out of a food truck anywhere and
Yeah.
hope for the best. Our cats are way smarter than we are. So they are always looking to see how they protect themselves from environmental dangers, from others. And when you bring in new cats, that's a whole conversation all by
Oh
itself.
my
Like
gosh, yeah.
that becomes a super high stress environment because they stop feeling safe. They don't know the new cat. They don't know how they are going to do. I actually, a lot of you know that I just brought in a dog who had never been around cats. My cat's obviously used to dogs. He lives with one. And he had a friend come over for a week when he first moved here that looks a lot like this dog. So I feel like when Satchmo came in the house, I think Vango went straight up to him thinking he was another dog that he had met in last year. And he just like was like, fine. But he's like, dog, different.
Yeah.
If that had been a cat, immediately both of them would have gone into the defensive, right? Like
Oh yeah.
my dog, the Satchmo, who's never been around cats, was like, what is that? Like, I have no idea what that is. But there was no fighting. There was no hissing. There was no, I kept Satchmo on a leash, which was the recommendation that I got from the Cat Behavior Alliance, Rita and Linda. They actually did a video for me. I was like, tell me what tips I need to know, because they were addressing introducing two cats and how stressful it can be for the cats, how stressful it could be for the families, how like earth-shattering the introduction can really be, and how hard it is to sometimes live with cats that are improperly introduced, because it like takes a long time to undo the mistakes that you made.
Yeah.
So really doing it properly is so important. And they said in the video that they made for me is that it's way easier to introduce your cat to a new dog than it's ever going to be to introduce your cat to a new cat. And I know that's really counterintuitive, because we think fighting like cats and dogs, right? Like people think of like dogs and cats as like, enemies, but they don't necessarily have to be if the cat and dog are like used to that species, right?
Mm-hmm.
But cat introductions can be so difficult. I remember pet sitting in a house where they had the house literally divided in half, because if the cats ever came into the same space, one would die. Like that's how serious the animosity was between these two cats. And I don't know the history. I think it was a couple that both had cats came together, and I don't know the history. I don't know if they introduced them properly. I don't know if they took the time to do it properly. I don't know if they made sure that everybody had the same number of resources, right? We blend two cats and then we say they only need one food bowl each and one water bowl to share. No, that's not what they need. They need however many bowls they were used to before this new cat came in, and maybe another one just for funsies, right? So we try to like bring them together, force them to like give up what they're used to acclimate to a new friend, assuming they're going to be friends, assuming they even want a friend, right? And then we're like, but why are they not getting along? And it's because we as humans forgot that they are prey and predator, and that they're, that they're not like, we know of a cat that's like a social media cat who can't be around other cats anymore. Like at some point in his career he could, and now he can't. He might have had a bad experience. He might have trauma. He might have seen another cat while some noise happened in the background, and now he associates horrible noises with another cat, right? Like there's no way for us to understand these things necessarily, but there are ways for us to alleviate the stress of introducing cats. And I think that if you are introducing a cat, please take it so seriously. Please don't put your desire to bring in another cat into your life over your existing cat's peace and harmony and security, because that's really selfish. Because when we think about it from a human perspective, it's like, I had a 2.5-year-old and he had a sister and he had just to deal with it, right? Like when my daughter was born, so sad, like too bad, so sad. You're a big brother now. And I can guarantee you that 2.5-year-old wanted nothing to do with his sister, and he wished he didn't have one. And it's very similar. I mean, obviously my son has no choice. Mila's here to stay, But when it comes to cats, like we do have a choice, and we do have a choice to do it properly. And even with my son, I mean, we tried to transition that new person coming into the life, and my pregnancy and all that helped him prepare. But we just like expect a cat to like, we open that carrier from the rescue, the cat comes in smelling like 5,000 cats and 5,000 things, and we just expect them to be friends. That's just not how it works for that species. I mean, it doesn't work like that for dog on dog interactions either.
No. Yeah, that's a good point, and very relevant to keeping our cats happy, for sure. I think, and I've already said this about keeping them healthy, as close to a species appropriate diet as we can get for them. And I get that everybody is in a different situation, and also it is more difficult to transition a cat, especially later in life, to real food versus either dry food or canned food. They're imprint eaters, and they imprint at a very, very young age. So even getting, a pretty young cat from a rescue or shelter, they may have already imprinted into the dry food that they were getting. So, I mean, I'm not here to say that you're wrong or horrible if you're struggling. Like, we're all struggling, believe me. We're all struggling. But as close to a species appropriate diet, as much moisture in their diet as you can possibly get, and minimizing the toxins, minimizing the exposure. Our cats, even more so than our dogs, because most of us are walking our dogs, whereas most of us are not walking our cats. They don't really get outdoor time. And I know you do, but like most people don't. There is this concept of off-gassing that we don't think about. We get to off-gas constantly, every day, walking outdoors. Our dogs have the opportunity anytime we take them outside, out back to pee or out on a walk, whatever it may be, to off-gas. Our cats almost never do. And that alone is like the impact of that alone is incredibly detrimental to their health. Just from, I mean, whatever is in the air in our homes, whatever is, I mean, and people that live in old homes, you don't even know what's in that AC system, what's in the ducts, what is, what building material maybe is no longer up to code, but it was grandfathered in. Like, we don't know what we don't know. Cleaning products in the home. If you have plugins or candles,
get rid of your plugins.
Please,
just get rid of them.
please
Get rid of them. That's killing all of you. It's not just killing your cat. Get rid of your plugins. Get rid of all of those scents. Fragrances are so toxic. There's like 30,000 fragrance chemicals that are allowed in the United States that are not allowed in Europe. Like, our big chemical, the lobby is huge. I mean, there's a movie that if you haven't seen it is so good. I follow like the non-toxic dad, and what was it called? It's called Stink. The movie, I don't remember if it's the same guy, but it's a guy who did a movie called Stink, where he found like all these fragrances in like kids' clothing, like pajamas from like, these cutesy little shops. And he kind of was like, he had lost his wife to cancer, who was in her 30s or early 40s. And he started kind of questioning. And like, when we talk about humans and we talk about cats, we're talking about them having to metabolize the same amount of toxins that we have in our home, but it affects them so much more. Like, their liver can only process so much. It's just like what I always say is, if you wouldn't use it in the presence of your baby, don't use it in your house, because your cat is probably as delicate as a baby when you are using these things. I love Force of Nature. We use Force of Nature, which is like a make your own kit. It lasts 2 weeks. Every time we make a bottle, we probably make a bottle every week. It's great for the environment because I'm using like the prep kit. There's like a tiny little bottle of salt and vinegar that I put into actual fresh water. I do whatever it is with this little machine that like makes it a cleaning product. I use it for everything. I've used it for stains. I can use it as hand sanitizer because it's that safe. I can use it to disinfect or just to wipe. If I want to disinfect, I just have to spray it and leave it for 10 minutes. And my cat can literally walk on it and it does not hurt him at all. He obviously doesn't like me spraying stuff, but he'll just like sit there. He doesn't care. Like it doesn't have a smell. So, you know, we think it's so nice for our house to smell like lavender, or nice to smell like frankincense or whatever. But like the vast majority of things you're buying out there, that's not what they have. They have like some kind of fake chemical that's made to smell like those things. And it is making an impact on our health and so much of an impact on our cat's health. And like, they can't tell us like, what the heck did you spray,
that's giving
lady?
me a headache, right? Yeah. Like,
My
oh, I don't feel good. I feel nauseous.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
My grandmother's in assisted living, and I think on the first floor of her facility, they spray more of whatever scent they spray, because that's like the living area, or like the meet and greet when people come to, like, that's, you want it to smell its best. Every time she comes down for a meal on that floor, she gets a runny nose. Every time. She goes upstairs, her nose isn't running. And so we finally determined one day when we walked in, and I think they had just sprayed that, and we were all like, our noses are running, our eyes are itching. We're like, it's whatever they sprayed here. And these are older people who already have a ton of health issues. And now we're like intoxicating them with the smell. And my grandmother can't smell it, but she can take the side effects from it, just like our cats, and our dogs too. So plugins, throw them away. They're making you sick. Stop it. Any kind of candles, like really, if you need to have a candle, find the highest quality candle, the natural scented candles. But for me, I have a kid with asthma. I can't do candles. I use the fake candles that I could, like, I get the ambiance of them because they're really pretty, and I put a few of them together, and it's, you know, a battery operated candle that I light in the evening and turn off before bed. But I can't have candles between my cat and my asthma kid. Like, what? How much do I really want my house to smell like frankincense and myrrh? Enough to like make my kid and my cat sick? No, definitely not that much.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, there's so much that could be talked about. You know, the fire retardants in clothing, the stain protectants on furniture. These are things that, I mean, we can be more intentional about clothing purchases and things like that. But for like bedding, for couches, for anything like that, like just get an organic cotton sheet.
Yes.
Lay it over.
Less is more.
Yeah.
And honestly, like when you're Apple the Golden is asking what about fragrances and perfumes, lotions, and shampoos. Yeah, like those fragrances, the vast majority are toxic. There's no real control. The reason, and I really recommend that movie Stink, because it explains that because they say that it's a proprietary blend of smells, right? Like it's rose and whatever, and this and that, and what is it, ylang ylang, and all the nonsense that we like want to put on our bodies to smell good. They don't have to tell you what's actually in it because it's a proprietary blend. So they can put kerosene in there if they want to, and you're spraying it on yourself because it's part of their proprietary blend. So just watch the movie Stink. Such a good movie. It's not about pets, but it does kind of affect us all equally, and our cats even more. And what I do when I buy a new product, because I try to buy the highest quality, like you said, organic bedding. IKEA, even though it's like on the lower end, is more, they have more controls over like off gassing and like the materials they use. Whereas you go to Wayfair, you're gonna get like I remember somebody telling me that they ordered like a headboard for their bed, and that headboard off gassed, that you could smell it. Because off gassing, sometimes you can't smell it and it still affects your health. No, she said that you could smell the stink from whatever factory this came in her home for like 3 months because of that. Whatever material was in it, whatever wood they used, whatever they treated it with was like just off gassing. Whenever I buy something, I have a garage, and obviously not everybody lives in a place where they have a garage, but I'll open it up in the garage. Like a new mattress, even if it's like a high quality mattress that's supposed to not have POVs and all that stuff, like POCs. It's not VOCs, sorry. It's supposed to be like super healthy. I put it in my garage for like at least a week, and then I'll bring it in, because the worst part is when you unpack that plastic, right? Like,
It
candles come
is.
wrapped in a plastic, your sheets come wrapped in a plastic, your couch will come wrapped in a plastic. Like, you buy one couch every maybe 10, 20 years. Try to buy the one that tells you that they are conscious about the materials they use and the off-gassing, because if you plan on having pets your whole life, which I do, you do, these decisions we make today still continue to impact our health and our pets' health in 10 years, because the off-gassing doesn't just magically stop. Like, every time you sit down, stuff
Yeah.
comes into the air from your couch. Every time you lie
Yeah.
down, you're taking in the chemicals, or that the VOCs that are coming from your mattress, from your pillows, from your clothes. Like, I'm saying this as I bought this shirt ages ago off Amazon for my kid's Sonic birthday party, and it's probably covered in who knows what, because it lights in the dark and all sorts of junk. And I don't buy stuff like this often, but when we buy things, we have to be so careful, because our pets inadvertently are exposed to all the things. If you have a cat that or a dog that licks your hands after you put cream on, they're ingesting
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I know. And I am pretty conscientious about what I use like on my body. I'm doing coconut oil or tallow or
Exactly.
like high quality veterinary grade essential oils. And it was really interesting the other night. I started using wild yam cream. And one of my cats is like licking the crap out of my arm after I put it on my arm. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, why do you want this?
Isn't that doesn't that what does the yam do? What is it for?
It's for hormone balance.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought it was. So
Yeah.
your cat was like, "Ooh, I need
Yeah.
some estrogen. I need an estrogen
Yeah.
boost." I mean, she's older, right? Maybe she knows something you don't know.
Right. I know. I'm like, oh my goodness. I guess you need something I don't know you need.
That's
They're great at
hilarious.
naturally selecting things.
Exactly. So let her, but you see, that's safe, because that, is
Yeah.
not going to hurt her. But like, think about, all those fragrances. Like, I'm super careful, even with my kids, and like when you go to a doctor and they'll be like, oh, they have eczema. We recommend this brand owned by Johnson and Johnson or whatever conglomerate. And you look at the ingredients and you're like, petroleum? You're recommending something that has petroleum? And then if you are a new parent, just Google what petroleum has in it before you put it
Yeah.
on your kids' hands. And what are your kids doing? They're licking. What are your
Mm-hmm.
cats doing? They're licking
They're looking.
themselves.
Yeah.
When your cats come back, when my cat comes back in from the patio, I have to make sure that like we didn't have anything spill, or we didn't have anything, that we spray for mosquitoes, because my kid is highly allergic. And I'm always like, do not spray the patio, do not spray in the vicinity of the patio. And if there's any kind of bug that comes in, I'm getting it out, because I don't want him to be eating any bugs that were sprayed. And not that we have any control over that, because most places are spraying, your cities are spraying. So anything that your pets are eating outside is probably sprayed by something. It's probably exposed to some kind of chemical.
Mm-hmm.
Even the worms are covered in like Roundup, right? So
I know. I saw something just this past week and it like hit me so hard because, we always try to buy as much organic as possible. And there's obviously a concerted effort in the food industry to like make people feel like, oh, they're extra if they're, if you're buying organic, you're bougie if you're buying organic, right? And it's like, no, I'm not bougie because I'm literally having to pay more so you don't put glyphosate on my food. Like that's
yes,
all it is.
exactly.
That's all it is. And I'm
Yeah.
aware that I don't want glyphosate on my food. I'm not over here trying to be extra or bougie. Like, I just don't want you to be poisoning me, please.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
it.
no. When I go to Spain, like I go to Spain often because my sister lives there, I have family there, and like I feel so much safer eating there. I feel so much safer eating the produce and the food because they have such good controls. In Europe, you can't find glyphosate, and a lot of people who can't eat bread here can eat wheat in Europe because it's
It's
just
not
wheat.
enriched.
And it's just wheat. So like
Yeah.
even when I go to Europe, even though they have way better controls for like chemicals and fragrances and stuff, I still find that like their kid products, their pet products are full of junk.
Oh,
So
they
even
are.
though they're doing better over there, they're still not doing as
No.
well as they should be. And we're definitely decades behind here in the US. And when we wanted to keep we'll bring it back to the conversation, but like when we want to keep our cats safe and healthy, we have to remember how small they are and how much all of these things take a toll. Like when you have a 6-pound Yorkie versus a 110-pound Great Dane, the same chemical exposure is going to have a different impact on each of those pets, right? Your cats are, I mean, what the biggest cat's going to be like 20 pounds. Your cat's going to have a really high level of exposure, whereas maybe your Labrador Retriever, 70 pounds, isn't going to be affected as much. So just always kind of going with like the most vulnerable in the family. If you have a baby, if you have a cat, if you have an elderly person, if you wouldn't use those around those people, then don't bring it into your home.
I was trying to find, I remember there was a graphic going around not too long ago. I thought it was Rodney and Karen, but I can't find it, about like they studied humans versus dogs versus cats in the same home. And I think it's in the Forever Dog book, about how much more toxic our dogs are than we are, and how much more toxic our cats are than even our dogs are. And it is because they are it's because they are so much smaller, because they're not getting outside to off gas, because their bodies cannot metabolize things. Like their metabolic pathways, while they have some similar pathways to us and to dogs, they have different metabolic pathways as well. They are an entirely different species, and we can't forget that.
And they're the most sensitive. Like I think it was, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before that I shared that I know somebody who inadvertently killed a kitten. She used, an essential oil that killed the kitten, and she didn't know. Yeah. She had no idea until the kitten, she took the kitten to the vet and was like, oh, and I was using this natural flea and tick. And the vet was like, you did what? And it was because the kitten couldn't metabolize that. Like it went, and it was topical.
Yeah.
She didn't even ingest, the cat may or may not have ingested it, but
peppermint. But I mean, kittens are so much more vulnerable too, because they haven't. But yeah, maybe peppermint. You can't use peppermint with cats, but who knows?
She had no idea, right? Like she found it online. It was flea and tick.
Mm-hmm.
She did it with the best of intentions, and the vet was like, cats are just so sensitive to so many things. It's like what we talked about with medicine, like double check that that what your vet gave you is cat specific. And just so you all know, I always like to know who decided that it was like Happy Cat Month. And Happy Cat Month was actually created by Catalyst Council. The Catalyst Council enables the lifelong health and welfare of companion cats. Founded in 2008, we bring together data, knowledge, and resources from shelter and adoption organizations, the veterinary community, and industry stakeholders to collaborate on programs and communication to further our vision that companion cats receive a lifetime of care. And somewhere else it said that it likes to bring attention to Happy Cat Month because so many people think that cats are independent and aloof, and they really are social beings, and they do deserve to be lavished and loved just like our dog companions are in their own way, obviously. 42.7 million US households own a cat. 50% of all pet cats are adopted. 62 million cats are owned as pets in the US. So 42 million homes have cats, 62 million cats live in our homes, and 46% of owned cats did not visit a vet in 2016, compared to 17% of dogs. So don't forget that your cat does need vet visits, regular vet visits. It does need a dental cleaning every once in a while. Just because it's not showing any signs of aging doesn't mean it doesn't need blood work. So make sure you take your cat to the vet.
Yeah, I had so much I didn't get to as well, but we can always talk more about being like nitty gritty and all of the health stuff, because that's where I really get into rabbit holes.
Well, we can do the part 2 next week and go deeper into the health part of it if you want to.
I'm good with that. Are we? Yeah, we're doing next week. And then we're not, oh, we're doing the next 2 weeks, right? And then we're not
Yes,
doing.
we're doing the next 2 weeks. I want everybody to know that even though we talked about like all this consumerism, be careful what you buy, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you guys heard, but the Cuddle collab from Target drops on September 21st. And if you're a Target person like I am, that I just like to see what they have, it's dropping on September 21st. It's a Cuddle collab, and it's with a bunch of like really cute influencer cats. It's a collection they made, or cats and dogs.
Oh, I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a collection. It's kind of like the collabs that Target does with like designers.
Okay.
And they make obviously designer things more affordable for their consumers. This
Okay.
is a collab where they're going to have like really modern crates and like really interesting beds. And I think it's fun to look at. They also had like some treats, but I couldn't see who the maker was because it was just like an ad. But just remember that it's super fun to look at these things, but your cat and dog, they need high quality products, not like a million crappy products. So don't let yourself get sucked into these just because it's a collab and just because it's cute. You're better off buying a high quality bed one time than some crappy bed every year. So I did want to bring that up because we do talk about news, and I just heard about the collab, and the drop date again, it's September 21st. And you can see on the Target app like the stuff that they're going to be selling, and some of it's super cute. But like that modern dog crate, like what's it made of? Like how much off-gassing is it going to do in your house? So just before you pull the trigger and like impulse buy these things, remember that we can steer you in the direction of really high quality pet products, and you don't have to wait for the collab, and you might even be able to get like, a coupon code or something. So when it comes to buying your cat stuff, my biggest recommendation is always like, don't make an impulse purchase. Buy something that you know works, that somebody you trust has recommended, that is, that puts their safety and health first. And if you, like I said, we started with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies and Feline Essential, but really their website's fantastic. If you're in the market for toys or supplements, that's where you go.
Yeah. Oh, I could not recommend their supplements more. And I'm so bummed that West Paw stopped making their beds, because that was always my go-to bed. And so I'm on the lookout for good beds to recommend to people that are like organic cotton or.
Yes, exactly. I will say this, that it's super hard to find organic cotton stuff. It is hard to find stuff that is like low VOC. I personally, for my dog, only use Big Barker beds. I like them. I think they're great. And my cat lays on them all the time. Diane is saying, many say my cat looks fine, so they don't take their cats to the vets, but they do need blood work. As we said, yes, especially as seniors, as we said, they're going to hide it as much as they can. They're prey predator, and they are always feeling vulnerable. So they're going to hide it until it's really urgent. And then they're going to be meowing and calling your attention and jumping in and out of the litter box and peeing on your bed and calling your attention to it in like the weirdest ways. And usually when that happens, it's like that illness is pretty much progressed, and like it's more serious now than it would have been if you had caught it early. And again, I talked about this last week, but I did an interview with Moose's March, and they're all about prevention. They were talking about an early testing kit for cats coming up. I know you interviewed somebody about early cat cancer or early pet cancer detection.
Yeah, I'm actually interviewing them this week, Oncotect. But last week on my podcast, I had Lee Carroll, who is an herbalist and who has thrown himself into the world of mushrooms. And so I am absolutely fascinated with mushrooms lately. High blood pressure, diet, Diane.
The question is, what advice do you have? As I gave a 12-year-old with high blood pressure, he's on medication. Is there anything to look out for? I mean, blood work, regular visits to the vet are important, but yeah, I mean, the best way to, I mean, that's even for humans, right? Blood pressure and diet are so highly connected.
So Lee Carroll, mushrooms are amazing. And one of my favorite ones for cats is cordyceps because it is really wonderful for both respiratory health and kidney health, and those are the two biggest issues with our cats. Because of litter boxes, respiratory issues, and because of dry food diets, kidney issues. So I'm just obsessed. And I did also, so when I was at AFCO, Roxanne had COVID. When we were at Super Zoo, you went home with COVID. I never got sick. By the way, everybody other than Emily Stein of Teeth, everybody that I have talked to left Super Zoo sick. Everybody. And I did not get sick. And I swear it is because I was taking like mega doses of mushrooms those 2 weeks. I swear by it.
You still got to tell me the Botox mushroom, what it's called and where I can get it.
Tremella. It's tremella.
It's supposed to keep me young forever. Forever
I know.
young.
I haven't even bought it yet. I need to buy it.
So girls and boys, I know that a lot of people want to stay young, not just ladies. Tremella mushroom is supposed to be the one that keeps you young forever. She told me she doesn't do Botox because she's going to start doing that mushroom, and it's going to make Botox look like something of the past. And I'm ready to watch.
Yeah, Apple the Golden said she had a cold after Super Zoo, and she takes I'm telling you, I took so many. I took like probably 4 times what the average dose would be, just because I did not want to get sick. I didn't want to do it.
At least annually.
Yeah, but at 13, I'd be doing it every 6 months, honestly. And I mean, yes, it is important to do a urinalysis with your blood work. Otherwise, your blood work is incomplete.
And also, just because it stresses them out doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. As the mother of 2 children who don't enjoy going to the doctor, they still go to the doctor. And it is what it is. And these guys are way more vocal and crying and screaming, and I don't want this. And when my son hurt himself this weekend, all he could think of is, I don't want to hospital, I don't want to get a shot. And what are we going to do? Not take him and let him have a crack in his skull? No. So we're going to take him to the doctors, guys. I know that we don't want to stress them out, but when they need a trip to the vet or the hospital or the emergency vet, or they need blood work, you got to do it. 6 months. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're seniors at that point, and you got to stay on top of it, especially with cats, because as we have said so many times, they're not going to show you until it's dire. They're just not going to show you. So,
yeah.
Well, we're way over. We're way over time.
I want to stay here forever, so I don't have to go back to my real life.
Real life. Yeah, yes, I'm gonna go back to.
I'm just so spent. I don't know. Kara said something about self-care. She got ice cream. I don't know what's gonna do it, but I'm gonna go get some electrolytes in my water, really cold. Can I give Tremella? Can you give Tremella to your pets?
I don't see why not. I don't know I'd have to look up what the other benefits of Tremella are. To see if it would be worthwhile, because their tremella is not a cheap mushroom. Let me look.
And yeah, I mean, if it keeps us forever young, I would assume it would keep other species forever young, right? Keep a little pep in his step.
Let's see. Skin health, hydration, skin brightening, as good as collagen, some suggest. Free radical scavenger, anti-inflammatory. Brain health, lung health, heart health, gut health. Sure, why not?
Huh?
Go for it.
Oh, they're already home?
Yeah, I'm leaving Noah here.
Oh, hi, Thad. Where's the cat? I want to show him off. Is he here? Leave the door open so in case he comes up.
All right, Noah's here.
Okay. Okay, Diane, go to bed. It's almost midnight. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for being here. We'll be back on Monday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Central, almost midnight UK time.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Yes.
And if you have any tips on how you keep your cat happy, continue the conversation in comments. If you have any favorite products that you use that really make your cat's day, like, don't just take it from us. Let's share what you like. And I'm going to go ahead and order some Tremella now. So you all have a great evening.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.